All right, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to sit down with Penn State left tackle Olu Fashanu. Olu, uh, right off the heels of a tough loss, but how are you doing today, Olu?
All right. I mean, obviously, the game on Saturday was crazy. Just kind of wish we could have finished it off, but yeah, I'm all right. I mean, today's our day to look back, or no, yesterday was our day to look back at the film and just like see the mistakes that we did. And right now, like we're just focused on Indiana right now. Me personally, I'm just focused on Indiana. So
Great, great,
yeah.
yeah. Indiana next up, and just a handful of games left before the season ends with Michigan State. But I kind of want to start with your recruitment, high school recruitment, go into your early stages at Penn State to this year to potentially the future. So, um, starting at high school, you blocked for Caleb Williams, a Heisman candidate in high school. So
Yeah.
you guys were high school teammates.
Yeah.
What was that like? And then he was a year younger than you, obviously, but you guys were going on visits at the same time. Still, you guys were
Mm.
being recruited at the same time. Kind of how was that process to go through it? And he wasn't the only other one getting recruited from Gonzaga either. And then
Mm.
are you guys still close? Do you guys still communicate with one another?
Yeah, no, Caleb's awesome. Like that's my guy. Blocking for him was honestly like it was crazy. Like I don't know, I don't think like to that point I've ever been on a field with like a player like him, like someone who can quite literally make something out of like absolutely nothing. Like just a total dual threat, like on both sides of the ball, like literally just as good of a running back as he is a quarterback. And like talking about that in like extremely high levels too. Yeah, no, blocking for him was awesome. And definitely made my life a whole lot easier with him being like extremely elusive. So that was awesome. And I mean, to this day, like I still check up on him, just see how he's doing, and he does the same with me. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's great. Yeah, I mean, he's again a Heisman candidate for a reason this year. You know,
Yeah.
blew the doors off of Oklahoma last year as a true freshman now at
Yeah.
USC. So, but going back to again recruitment, you had offers from a ton of big schools: Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Michigan, more. What was it about Penn State that said, "Yeah, I want to be a Nittany Lion"?
I'd say it was a combination between the location. So I'm from Maryland, and it's about like a 3 to 3.5 hour drive there. It was a combination between that, just the overall atmosphere there. Like every time I visited, I just felt like I was at home. It was very like relaxed and chill vibe there, and they also they also focused on at least like with compared to the other schools I was looking at, like their emphasis on like their players and their academics was like really good, and that was really important for me and my parents. I'd say it was just a combination between all those three is what like really pulled me to Penn State in comparison to other schools.
Academic All-American. So, out of all the success on the field, how does being an academic All-American, how does that stack up?
I mean, just like having that title, like you're able to be an academic All-American. I feel like that would definitely like carry a lot more weight like after I'm done playing football. So that's definitely a goal of mine that I'm hoping to achieve. So
Yeah. I also read that you played basketball in high school a little
mm.
bit. So, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, where your skills at?
I mean, offensively, wasn't the biggest offensive threat, but I could always count on me to be a solid big man, get all the rebounds, use all five of my fouls, play solid defense. I was more of like a defensive center. Like nowadays, whenever I play pickup, I try to be a point guard, even
I love it.
besides the fact that I'm like 6'6", 315, but it is what it is. But
I love it.
yeah, no, basketball is great. I felt like I definitely have like a couple skills like on the field that I've definitely like learned from basketball. So
I love it. I love it. And as far as your athletic background, is basketball and football really it for you, or did you play anything else growing up?
yeah, no, basketball. I played basketball all my life
Mhm.
until I came to high school. Then I stopped after my freshman year. Then I tried out football my freshman year. Then I liked it a lot more than basketball, so I just
So you
stuck
didn't
with
even
that.
play football till your freshman year of high school.
Yeah, no, I meant to play football when I was in like seventh grade, but I was just didn't really want to, so I just held on. I just held off on it until high school. So
I love it. Love it. So now we're transitioning to Penn State a little bit. true freshman, you walk into a facility that includes Odafe Owe, Micah Parsons, Pat Fryermuth, and we talk a lot about. I mean, it's like well known in the draft community. Like, oh yeah, freaks come out of Penn State. Athletic freaks come out of Penn State. So, and again, your tape signifies that you're going to test off the charts at some point whenever you decide to declare and go to the combine. So, but just talk a little bit about like the weight room culture at Penn State, just how intense those workouts are, and what it was like to have guys as soon as you walk in the door, like Micah, like Odafe, as examples in the weight room of like, oh yeah, this is the standard.
I mean, our weight room culture is definitely it's definitely something. I mean, it's really aggressive. I mean, aggressive in a good way. I mean, with everyone here at Penn State, like we all just want to get better, and one of the main ways that we get better in the weight room is that we compete within each other. You know, just I feel like at least me personally, I feel like competition is like at least in a team environment is healthy because again, like if you're competing like to the best of your abilities, not only are you getting yourself better, but you're getting everyone around you better. And it's kind of everyone kind of has that same mindset where like we're gonna try to one up each other, but like all for the benefit of just getting everyone around each other better, whether that's on the field or in the weight room. So
Yeah. In that offensive line room, that Penn State's turned out quite a bit of NFL talent as well, you know, from Will Fries to Rasheed Walker, into the future now. You know, Landon's got some real skills. I like Juice's tape quite a bit for Juice's tape as well. But you've kind of had an upperclassman the whole way. So with Will, then with Rasheed, and now Juice. So just kind of how have those guys been in terms of like bouncing new thoughts off of them, ideas off of them, like, hey, I saw this on the field for the first time. What do you do when you see that? Kind of those sorts of things.
Yeah, no, all of them. I've been blessed to have like just always like some sort of like older guy in my position ever since I've been on campus, and it's definitely been great. Like with Will, he's just a complete technician. I mean, the amount of time he takes just owning his skills like every day before and after practice, it was definitely a big influence on me. Just seeing how hard he worked, you can tell like he cared so much about his technique and just like doing his job, and that's definitely been a big help, or that was definitely a big help to me while he was here. And same with Rasheed. Rasheed is a very hard worker, but the guy is just really talented too. So just like watching his tape all the time, like I still watch his tape from when he was playing here, like to this day. Like I was literally watching some last night, and just seeing how he moves on the field, what he does for certain plays, and I just try to do my best to replicate that. Then right now with Juice, with him still being here, his entire process is just like something I've just been trying to replicate because like Will, he also has his own same pre-practice routine and post-practice routine, and this year I was fortunate enough to actually like do his exact same routine with him while he does it, and I feel like that's definitely been a big help to me. So
That's tremendous. Rasheed has some of the funniest tape I've ever seen in my life. Just it's like you're looking for Easter eggs in a Marvel movie. It's like what you'll find in Rasheed's tape. Like in the Auburn game, like he blew a kiss to an edge that dropped off in coverage, and like stuff like that is so funny. And then there's the popular clip as well that's circulated on social media too. But that's tremendous. Sticking with Rasheed and then that Arkansas game a little bit. From the outside perspective, it was like just like a 3-day span of like, oh, Rasheed Walker showed up to the bowl game. He's in a boot. He's not playing. How much preparation and reality behind the doors did you have, knowing like, oh, I'm going to start this game? Was it like a pretty quick turnaround, like, oh, I'm starting, or did you kind of know going into it for a while?
So like I kind of knew for a while that I was starting.
Okay.
But I was the initial plan was to get me in a lot more games earlier towards like the later end of the season, but I had an injury that made me miss a couple of games, so like that kind of postponed that for a bit. But once I came back and I was doing all the bowl practices, they kind of made it known that I was going to be the starter. So I kind of knew that for a while, and definitely like all those bowl practices helped me grow my confidence and to like make me think like, okay, like yeah, I'm the starter. Like I can do all this. So yeah, we knew that for a while.
Okay. And then just walk me through like the pregame jitters, the mentality, just kind of where your mind was at. Like, this is my first career start and it's a bowl game. It's not like I'm playing a non-conference game against an FCS school week 2. It's like, this is a bowl game against an SEC team, and this is my first career start. Kind of what was going through your mind?
I'll be honest. I wasn't really that nervous going into the
Okay.
bowl game, just because I mean, from the time that we ended the last game of the season, which was the Michigan State game, to the bowl game, we probably had like a whole month of preparation, and I mean, in that time, I was just completely focused in on Arkansas, and by the time we got to the bowl game and that entire bowl week, it was a great experience. And like honestly, I just when we finally came to the end of the week and we were at the game, I was completely relaxed and I was just ready to go. So I felt like I prepared. Like I felt like I don't want to say over prepared, but like I prepared enough to the point where I kind of expected everything that happened. And I mean, it was just I don't know, I was just really calm throughout it. I didn't really get any jitters, but yeah, it was a good experience overall.
I love it. I love it. So now let's transition into kind of this year a little bit, the 2022
Hmm.
season. And so where I want to start with this is just talking about the Big Ten offensive tackle play.
Yeah,
Because in my mind, I think, the Big Ten might have the 4 best offensive tackles in the country. You can argue,
yeah,
Matthew Bergeron at Syracuse is really good. There's some other guys
yeah.
that are
He
really good,
is.
but for the most part, like there's Paris, Peter Skoronsky, there's Jalen Duncan. Do you guys
Hmm.
kind of have like a Big Ten brotherhood? Like you've already played Ohio State, you've already played Northwestern. Did you get a chance to talk with Paris and Peter after those games?
I wasn't able to talk to Paris, but I talked to Peter after the Northwestern game, and we just talked for a little bit, just talking about how we were both doing this season. So it was a nice opportunity to talk to him. Then we haven't played Maryland yet, but I'm sure after the game I'll probably talk to Jalen a little bit.
Great, that's awesome.
Mhm.
And then the guys you've gone against on the other side of the field, you've built a pretty strong resume of talented pass rushers that
Thank you.
you faced. Derek Hall, Kobe Woolden from Auburn, Mike Morris from Michigan, Mozzie Smith played a little bit of 4. You got some reps against Mozzie Smith, Zach Harrison, JT, Adebaware from Northwestern. Just like, how does it feel to stack up like an Outland Trophy quality like caliber resume at 19 years old? Just like, kind of, what is that perspective wise? What does that feel like?
Um, Honestly, I haven't really taken too much time to like think about think about all that. Like, kind of kind of forgot that we played Auburn this year and Northwestern. But I mean, now that you like say it, I mean, it sounds pretty nice. But I mean, honestly, like, I feel like there'll be a time for me to like recollect about all that like later on at the end of the year. But if I'm being completely honest with you, I kind of just take everything week by week, and like I don't really focus on the past or future. I just stay present minded. Like I mean, after yesterday when I came back from practice, like I just started watching film on Indiana, and like that's really just what my focus is going to be on until Saturday afternoon. So
I love it. I love it. Who would you say out of all those guys, I know you said you don't look in the past a lot, but out of all the guys that you faced this year, who would you say has been your favorite, toughest matchup? Just back and forth. This has been really fun. Whole game. This has been awesome.
I'd say favorite was definitely Mike Morris. Like that
Okay.
was a good matchup. Uh, Toughest, I would say between Zach Harrison from Ohio State. Then honestly you actually didn't mention this guy, but Central Michigan's defensive end, Thomas in Coon.
Inkum. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was actually a lot better than I expected. Like he actually gave me some trouble. I'd say like it was between him and Zach Harrison for the toughest matchup. Like I think Thomas is really good, and I think I think he's I mean I there's no doubt in my mind that he'll probably go to the Senior Bowl, but I think he's gonna turn a lot of heads when he goes there. So
Max had some good players come out of the MAC the past few years, so that's not surprising to
mhm.
me.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of want to talk a little bit about Ohio State in particular because the 2 defensive ends that you went against in that game have 2 completely different ways of winning, I guess I could say. Like
Hmm.
Zach is long, explosive,
Yeah.
powerful, um, but doesn't really have a lot of flexibility, a lot of bend. But JT, on the other hand, is a little bit twitchier, a little bit bendier.
Hmm.
So how does your mindset shift when when it's like, okay, he's gonna throw a long arm at me, or going against JT, he's gonna hit me with a spin, or he's gonna try to take the outside shoulder, he's gonna try to take the high side. Kind of how does your mentality snap to snap change like that?
So yeah, this week or last week of preparation was a lot different because going into the Ohio State week, obviously Ohio State has a lot of different edge rushers and they're all really talented. But with JT and Zach Harrison, like obviously as you said, they're both different type of pass rushers. So I knew this week with JT, with him being like as savvy as he is and like having like a lot of different moves in his bag, I just made sure that my main emphasis this week against him was to just be patient because I felt like if I was too over aggressive with it, he might just take advantage of it. But with Zach, I know that he's a longer edge rusher that likes to like utilize his length to get his hands on before you. So I knew that there's probably a good chance that he'd try to like long arm or bull rush. So I knew that going against him was either I knew against him I just needed to get out of my set and just be prepared to anchor with him because he has longer arms. So I just need to make sure that if he did get his hands on before I got it on him, like I'd be prepared to anchor. So it was kind of like that was kind of like my main mindset with going against those two edge rushers.
I love it. I love it. I want to talk about your anchor a little bit too, because it's incredible. Like your anchor is it was one of the best anchors I've ever seen, and especially considering you're 6'6", 317-ish. Like, of course, I've seen really good anchors on guys like Daniel Falele out of Minnesota last year and Dewan Jones at Ohio State this year. But those guys are like 6'8", pushing 400 pounds. But
Yeah.
but so your core strength is very evident. Just what kind of goes into knowing like I got to drop it now versus I could probably vertical 3 steps, then I got to drop. Kind of like how does that? Because against Michigan, I saw you take on a stunting defensive tackle and just like didn't budge. Like you just took right to the chest, the stunting defensive tackle, and dropped your anchor immediately without giving up any ground. So, kind of when do you know when it's time? It's like, okay, I got to drop.
Um, so if I'm being honest, most of it usually just comes from like reps, just like repeated reps, and like your body kind of has like a natural reaction to it when like they feel it. Like when I feel like someone is just trying to like power through me, like it's kind of like a
Okay.
natural feel of like when to anchor. But I'd say like at least for the Michigan game, like watching film on just their ends in general, not just Mike Morris, but I knew that their main moves was to either just try to bull rush and rip inside. So like I could kind of tell when they were about to bull rush, and I knew that okay, well I'm probably gonna anchor right now. So then like I don't know, I think it kind of just comes from like watching film and just knowing like when the right timing comes to anchor, and I mean that definitely helps a lot. But I feel like there's a larger portion that just comes to like having reps, just going against like live people, just and like your body just like knowing when it's time to just anchor up. So.
I love it. I love it. So I want to stay a little bit with you've mentioned film a lot in this interview. You mentioned film a lot. So I want to stay with technique and with film. How much time would you say per day, per week you spend watching your opponents, watching tape?
It's a lot, but I would say man, a day. I couldn't give you a rough estimate, but I mean at least an hour, a day watching film like every day. But even on Saturday, like watching the game, like I'll probably watch a game. I'll probably watch like my game like I know I watched the Ohio State game like 3 times on Saturday, like after it, just like looking through how it played and like how the entire offense played. But yeah, I'd say at the very least an hour a day.
Okay.
So, and I
Impressive.
mean like that's kind of I think it kind of just varies on the person. Like I'm a boring guy. I don't really go out, so like I usually have like some time on my hand whenever like I get back from classes or practice. So I kind of just use that time watching film.
Great.
So,
Great. And then like transitioning to technique a little bit.
mhm.
I'm impressed at how refined you are because you have 9 career starts to your name. So um kind of who do you watch when you're watching tape? Do you watch like an NFL play or like a player that you really model your game after? Because what I see when I watch you is I see a lot of Charles Cross out of Mississippi State
Okay,
last year,
yeah,
who's, more built up top and has power in his lower half, but like Charles didn't really generate a lot of power off the line of scrimmage, but was strong as a bull in his upper body where he could
yeah,
anchor in. He could frame off run lanes if he wasn't like, and then he was very refined with his hands. So grip
yeah.
strength off the charts. And then the placement of his hands, that outside hand, you kind of keep that lever where you can kind of lock out with that inside hand. So,
Mhm.
who do you watch most when you're like trying to refine your game or like, I need to add another element. I'm going to watch this guy and pick up on what he does.
So definitely a lot of Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. I watch them a lot. Just seeing how like successful both of them have been as like two rookie offensive tackles, I definitely watch them a lot, and just like seeing how they compare to like just like regular like NFL edge rushers that have been in the league for a couple of years. Definitely watch them a lot. Then Andrew Thomas, I love watching
Huh.
Andrew Thomas.
He's
Like,
very good.
yeah,
He's
he's a
tremendous.
beast. He's an absolute beast. And I'm honestly like I watch Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas a lot, but like I want to get to the point where like I can like replicate my game to Andrew Thomas because that guy he's an absolute monster. So I definitely like he's definitely my favorite player in the league right now.
Love it. Are you a big trash talker on the
No,
field? No,
no,
no. What about in practice? Like, because I feel like just what I like, kind of, I can see animation on tape. I can see when a player is really animated, and I
yeah,
feel like Chop and Adisa probably sling it a little bit in practice at you guys.
no, they don't.
No,
No,
huh?
no. I mean, I think no. Like, so they so I'm the type where like usually I don't know on the field, like whenever like someone tries talking to me, like I usually find it funny because like it's not really that good and it's like a little bit cringy. So like I end up just like laughing. But like I mean, Chop and the D, so they're kind of the type where like if someone talks to them, then they'll talk back. They're not really the type to like like go out of their way and start doing all that. So
Who would you say is the best trash talker you've played so far?
I've played. I mean, no one's really talked trash to me this season.
It's hard to talk trash when you're consistently winning reps. When you're consistently winning
I
reps.
would
So
say some of the Auburn guys in the beginning of the game were trying to talk, but I mean by the like by like the 10th minute mark of the third quarter, like, they kind of just stopped
I love
because
it.
yeah.
Awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about Penn State's offense versus kind of the wave that's in the NFL. So Penn State, you're dropping vertical a lot, you're setting 45 a lot, you're jumping a lot. I noticed in the Ohio State game, you guys were pulling a little bit more towards the boundary in the screen game, towards the boundary on outside runs. But it's not like I haven't noticed it as like a heavy feature in the Penn State offense, but the wave of the NFL is definitely becoming wide zone oriented,
Mm,
outside zone oriented. So say you're drafted to a team like that, how do you envision that transition? Would you feel like, oh, I can make that transition really easily, be ready day one?
mm.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like if I was to be like drafted to a team that has that type of offense, I feel like it definitely wouldn't be new to me because like again, as you said, like our offense is that type where we like to utilize screens and wide zones. So I feel like it wouldn't be like that much of a transit. I mean, obviously going into the NFL from college is a humongous transition, but like at the very least, like going to a team like that, like it would definitely help just like being a part of an offense that like I've been familiar with. So
I love it. What about a game day ritual? How do you go through game day? Like who's on your playlist? What are you listening to? How do you wake up? What do you do on your way to the stadium? Things like that.
it so I mean it depends on what time the game is. So we've we've had a lot of noon games this year. Like so ritual wise, I mean we don't really have that much time because it's kind of like we wake up eating like like it's war. But I would say I usually wake up like 10 to 15 minutes before the actual wake up call. Then just to like give myself like more time to just like wake up and like I'll probably like go to the bathroom, like clean my face and everything, like wake myself up, like pour some cold water in my face just to like really like jack myself up. Then we'll go have breakfast. And my pregame playlist right now, I've been listening to a lot of Gunna. that's been like my guy for like the past like 2 years. So it's a lot of that. Then really specifically, I don't really have like any sort of like ritual I do like pregame. I mean, obviously, like I'll go out, stretch, and like do like a couple pass sets before we start stretching, but like nothing like too specific. Like I will say for the last couple of games, like my dad usually sends me a couple prayers just to read before games, and he'll probably end up doing that for the rest of the year too. So I mean, ritual wise, I'd say it's probably gonna be that. So.
And then just kind of winding down a little bit further. I know you're focused on Indiana this week, but I would also anticipate that it's really hard to block out the noise and block out the buzz. And there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people talking about Olu Fashanu right now, and
Mm-hmm.
you are draft eligible. So kind of tell me where your mindset's at. Have you kind of had any of those conversations with your family, with your coaches, or you just really wait until the end of the year to get into that?
Um, to keep it real, like I've heard like a couple of things, but during the week, like I'm like I basically like delete my Twitter. Like I don't look at any of that stuff. I mean, because I mean I don't know. I feel like the more focused I am on the game and just like everything surrounding the game, the better I'll do. Like I don't really want to be distracted by like all the outside noise. I kind of just want to be locked in just to like just to help myself perform to the highest ability and just to help the team out overall. I know it's kind of just like a cliche answer, but I'm just being honest. Like
Absolutely.
I try really hard not to like look at any of that stuff. And I mean, when the appropriate time comes, then I'll devote like the appropriate amount of attention to it. But right now, like we still have 4 games left and also a bowl game. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of just worried on just finishing the season out strong. So
Great. Last question for me,
yep.
Olu, is what's your why? You know, the
Mhm.
Power Five mindset and the grind is real. It's intense. Penn State, you know, we talked about the weight room culture, how intense the season long is. So, what motivates you to push yourself through that every single day?
Mm. Definitely my family, my mom and dad. Again, cliche answer, but it's true. Um, they spent so much time like throughout my entire life just making different sacrifices for me just to get to where I am. I mean, just some examples. I lived in Maryland I lived in Maryland all my life, but I went to school in Virginia when I was really young, and that itself was like a 50-minute drive for my parents every day. Then in high school, I went to school in DC, and that itself was like probably like depending on traffic, like a 45 to like an hour and a half drive every day. And like my parents never batted an eye about it. When I was younger, I played AAU basketball, like travel basketball, and that is like I've done some research on it now, and like the amount of money that they've spent on me just like sending me to like different tournaments week in and week out without a bat of an eye is just insane. And again, just like helping me out with the recruiting process, just taking me on different visits, again, just like never batting an eye and just like fully in support of me. I mean, it meant the world to me. So honestly, like they're my why. I feel like they've tried so hard to get me to this point, and me just not like performing to the best of my ability would be like a disservice to them. So it's definitely my parents. They're my why.
I love it. All right, Olu, I really appreciate you taking the time again. You got Indiana, Maryland, Rutgers, Michigan State bowl game. Best of luck the rest of the way out. Uh, you'll have my entire. I'll be watching every single game as you continue towards this outland track that you're on.
Thank you.
So again, just appreciate you taking the time and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.